things in my life happen like that. I first told you about the 3 rules, the 3 sentences, then the wallpaper on my phone about using my brain. And after that, India came into my life and the solutions I found in my life. The first weeks after I got the diagnosis, I basically escaped to India because I was fed up with everything that was going on for 40 days, going to various doctors, neurologists, MRIs, eye scans, any types of checkups, and there were bugs everywhere. There were some errors everywhere, and I was telling myself, if I keep going like that, I will get really sick, and maybe I will sit in a wheelchair because I'll get exhausted by all of this. So I bought a plane ticket for India and I escaped. I had no idea where I'm going, what was ahead of me, and I was faced with the real Ayurveda in the realist way, in the way that a Western person can do it in India. I went to an Ayurveda clinic in India. That's for Indians. I was the only Western person there. First, I was a little bit worried, but after that, I told myself, that's it. You need to jump into deep waters. So I went through various challenges, detoxifications, and for a few years, I followed Ayurveda doctor's advice not to stop my therapies twice a year. They wanted me to go there. I will not delve into details because this is a very long conversation. But a few years later, in 2012, which means after 4 years of going to India and looking for the appropriate clinic for me, thanks to a very close friend of mine that was living in Canada back at the time. You see, Canada comes in the story once again. This friend of mine made me discover this clinic because she started learning Ayurveda in Canada, inspired by what I was doing. So telling her teacher in Canada about what I was doing, what decisions I had taken, he told her, I think she's doing great, but I think she's not going to the appropriate places. So I will find a place for her. So a month later, this friend of mine sent me a message with that said, Ayush Prana is your clinic. Ayush Prana and the person sitting next to me are a great part of my life. I try to calculate how many days I've spent in Ayush Prana, how many therapies I've had. I think there's no person in Bulgaria that has been to more Ayurveda therapies than me. I'm the greatest user of Ayurveda in Bulgaria, in my humble opinion. You can see more about this place in episode 13 of I Am, my podcast, and of course in the film called Your Brain that you can find online on yourbrainmovie.com. Dr. Prasanth is the person I met there. He was very young back then. He's young now too, but he was much younger back then. And I was like, how is this guy going to solve my problems? I saw him as quite an unserious affair. In the first 20 days, we also had some fights because I wanted to leave. I didn't want to follow his advice. I thought I knew everything, that I could do anything. I had experience with the Ayurveda, so how could he give me any advice? But somehow he managed in a quite elegant way to really pacify me, and to people like me who were very stressed and very confident, they make Shirodhara therapy. Maybe you've heard about this therapy, or you've seen advertisements of very beautiful women lying on wooden tables, and there are some streams of warm oil on their forehead. I really like this therapy in the other Ayurveda clinics. But when we had a fight the first time I went there, and he told me, I won't speak to you until you start following my rules, told myself, my God, I'm going home. I cannot deal with this anymore. And a lady came to me and said, you haven't arranged Shiratara. And I thought, this guy is quite kind. We had a fight, but he will give me the best therapy now. And to my surprise, 10 minutes later, my Shiradara was with freezing water. You know that people are pacified with freezing water. So uh, this is what people do. But really, I was pacified, and I was quite lucky to go to this place, and not only to get the therapy that's unique and developed by him, but also to connect with myself and meet myself. Because when you go into such an environment, you really start understanding new things about yourself. So I had to accept myself, to accept the others. I didn't want to talk to anyone because I thought, how come I'm going to talk to people that barely talk, and I will feel the burden of them feeling bad. And unconsciously, in all the people in wheelchairs, I saw my future, and I was really afraid of that. But I came out of this state, and in 2013, only a year after my first treatment there, I invited him to Bulgaria because I wrote a text that became quite popular. And in the summer of 2013, we had a massive seminar on the topic of Ayurveda. Therefore, I'm some kind of courier of this Ayurveda information, and I hope that it reaches more people in Bulgaria. Let's now first see a video, and after that, I'll give a chance to Dr. Prasanth to give us his lecture, How the Ancient Medicine of Ayurveda Treats the Contemporary Diseases. Let's see the video. Do I want to be cured? I will show you a very short video of a boy called Akif. He's one of the young patients of Dr. Prashant. He has MS. When he was diagnosed, he was only 12 years old. Let's see it. Now, I urge you to watch this, not only people with MS, not only people with scary diagnosis, but also healthy people that think that this is not your film. 80% of people who have gone under Dr. Prashant's therapy feel well and keep leading a normal life without symptoms, and you rarely see them complain or attack someone online. But what happens to the other 20%? They want to stay in the same state. They don't want change. They do not succeed because of various reasons. Some do not cannot stay 60 days in the clinic away from their homes. Others are suspicious of everything and do not dedicate themselves to therapy. And a third group are very lazy and cannot follow Dr. Prashant's advice. These people do not learn anything new about themselves. They do not make a single step towards changing. I can tell you much more. My experience for all these years in my personal therapies, my personal successes and failures is huge, and I can tell you a lot about the successful stories and the non-successful ones. I don't tell you I know everything, but I've really seen a lot. Look at this boy. He's one of the successful cases. He does not doubt himself and his desire to walk once again, to run, to lead normal life, and he has the belief that Ayurveda and Dr. Prashant will help him walk. He was 12 years old when they brought him in a wheelchair in the clinic. MRI showed many lesions. After the 60 days of the initial therapy, he could move on his own, and he kept the therapy in the next years. In the final shots you see are from this Thursday. I chose to show you this video not to make you emotional. There are a few reasons, and the most important one is that when you choose the way you will cure yourself, you really need to trust this way and to dedicate yourself in the same way that a child can believe in it. Most of the adults I meet, they always have some suspicions that something won't work out the way they want it. And secondly, I wanted to make you focus on the fact that in the past 6 months, there's an increase in the number of children diagnosed with MS and other neurodegenerative diseases, and there are younger people diagnosed with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. So this exceptional boy. I am always very happy to see him. I always become very emotional when I watch him. So now I give the floor to Dr. Prasanth to deliver his lecture.
Can take it out, please. Good morning, everybody. So we are dealing with today how the ancient medicine treats brain diseases. So the areas I wanted to get your attention is how we have studied the brain up to now, and whether the classical medical explanation of the brain is good enough to explain the cause of many diseases. I'll say it is inadequate to explain. So we need to find new vistas of scientific studies to explain the human brain. Say, for example, the origin of multiple sclerosis. What is the cause of it? Likewise, many neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia or Parkinson's disease, we did not know the cause of the disease. And the same way, we did not know a medicine that can stop or cure this disease. We stumble upon treatments in multiple sclerosis since I started the treatment of MS. That it is always manipulating with the immune system, as we know, the commonly known disease-modifying medicines. One after the other, it is coming, and we did not know how to cross the blood-brain barrier and to treat those lesions and the neurological anomalies what a MS patient is having. So this is the crossroad where we are standing. And I want to give you a few, light upon a few matters related to the nervous system explained in Ayurveda, and a few aspects about the disease treatments also. I wanted to take your attention during the mid-90s. There was a very important study done by the physicist Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, who is an anesthetist. And their study was on the consciousness. And they have found that the seat of consciousness is in the microtubules in the neurons. And these studies were highly debated during that time and still now also. And the important point is that in the process of the consciousness, how it is functioning, that the quantum physical functioning or the quantum mechanical functioning is happening. And we now know that in the last 20 years, quantum biology is also very much relevant. The area of photosynthesis is inclined now that
фотосинтезията
is happening.
в момента се обясняваш с
exist. So such a very important function that now they explain the existence of quantum biology or biological action happening in the human brain also. In this study, they say that in the microtubules that quantum coherence is happening, And that is why the level of consciousness happens. And I'm not going into the level of philosophy to explain consciousness. Consciousness in the medical sense, it is like the awareness that you are having about your inner world and the awareness that you are having about your outer world, or where the seat of love, compassion, and this feeling where it is emerging, or you the on the other side where you have this competitiveness, anger, and frustration, and these are also where the consciousness level it is happening. And a few words about the microtubules. The microtubules are very sensitive structures in the neurons, and it is existing all around all in the each and every cells. And it is having a water molecule in the crystalline form inside it. And it is always in vibrating. Whenever that vibration stops, the life stops there. So it is that important. And it is also known as the superhighway from axons to the dendrites, where continuous travel of impulses and the nutrition happening. So this is the area where we are into, that newer studies are coming in the area of brain studies, and quantum physics and newer theories are coming into play. So, and the consciousness, the mental process, and cognition, these are very much dealt in Ayurveda. And it says that these areas are responsible for well-being of a person, causing of diseases, curing of the diseases. These areas are having much importance. So in Ayurveda, it says that the cause of neurological diseases can be multiple. So I'm concentrating more on the cognition level. I'm not saying that food is not that important. I mean, yeah, this is important and food is not that important. I'm saying this is equally important, but we are not giving any emphasis on that. Whenever we speak about the recovery of multiple sclerosis, we have diet protocols, Terry-Waltz protocol, Swank diet. Diets have been very detailed studied. And as well as exercises, different ways of doing exercise and activities. But we never considered mind and cognitive role in the field of neurological disease. And that is one area I wanted to emphasize on. According to Ayurveda, the brain functions are explained in 5 different levels. So you can read that the prana, udana, vyana, samana, and apana. These are the 5 levels of functional levels of brain. So in that, what I wanted to tell you is prana and udana is the most important one, and they are functioning in the consciousness, cognitive levels, and in the mind processes. So, and also they have certain involuntary actions are also regulated by them. Then only the motor functions and the other neurological functions are below that only. So Ayurveda had given such an important role to mental functions and the cognitive functions. So brain is also known to be controlling certain aspects. So our system is functioning with a feedback mechanism in which, from the cellular level to the tissue level to the organ level and to the whole system level, there is a continuous feedback mechanism is happening. For example, if you have a cough, and you will have the tendency to avoid the cold things, and you have the tendency to take warm things. This is how the feedback mechanism happens in that. In all the levels, this feedback mechanism is there, and whenever this feedback mechanism breaks and it leads to the next level, that is called the bifurcation point. Or in Ayurveda, it says that this area is called, this bifurcation is called kopa. So from that level onwards, the disease progresses. So what I'm trying to say is Ayurveda says that from the cellular level onwards, this feedback mechanism is controlled by the brain. That is one of the very important aspect of brain functions. And nowadays, when we were talking about Roger Penrose and his theories, nowadays, most of the biological findings or the human body findings are not only coming from doctors, but even from the level of physicists and from theoretical framework is also coming into play. So what I'm trying to say is that for this particular theory, this is also existing in nonlinear physics, where Ilya Prigogine was awarded a Nobel Prize for such a theory, that dissipative structures and then bifurcation point. So such a thing was also even explained in the field of human brain function way back 2000 years. That is something to be noted at this point. So two areas I was telling that this is the cause of the disease. Actually, in fact, it has to come, yeah, this is the two causes that can be the etiology for neurological diseases. One is asadmendriyartha sannigarsham. That means your sense organs are getting in touch with objects of sense organs, and if they are more than the normal level or subnormal, or if they have been used in a wrong way. So I wanted to tell you that when you work 8 hours in computer, that you are using excessively your eyes, and you are getting knowledge in such a way that it is a very restricted knowledge. I just wanted to tell you, a child who is studying, for example, from the screen about a potato. So he can learn all information about it, but the same child, if he is getting a potato at hand and he is studying about it, he knows a lot of things from the earth, how it is coming, and the nature where it is growing, how the leaf of a potato is. And if he tastes it, he'll have an understanding which is having tremendous variables functioning, and it is having a lot of feedback knowledge happening in him, and there is an experience in it. So in that is not happening when you learn something from the screen. I wanted to tell you the number one profession where I have the highest number of multiple sclerosis patients is from IT sector. So at every point of time, I have 3 or 4 of them in my hospital. So if I have some doubts, I always have somebody to get an answer. So that is Prajnaparada means it is Prajna means it is your consciousness or your higher intelligence, and aparada means it's a mistake that you are doing to that. So prajnaparada means that. Yeah. So what it is related to the mind and into the conscious level. These mistakes are happening. I have explained to you. In one chapter, in the beginning chapter of Ashtanga Hridaya, it says that a good physician is one who can deal not only with your physical disorders, whereas he can also deal with your mental qualities also. So, for example, you have a feeling of competitiveness, or you have some, I mean, for food, you are highly indulgent in any of these. Someone who can work in the mental level is also considered to be the best doctor. So, yeah, Prajnaparada is consciousness or the higher intelligence, and Aparada is an offense happening in that level. So, yeah, competitive fear and anxiety, anger, these are all Prajnaparada, and that can be a cause of diseases also. So I wanted to get your attention to one of the important points. During my clinical practice, I have seen many subtle things what are not written on the textbooks or what we don't find normally in clinical practice. I have seen that cerebellum is a very important structure. When you study that 80% of the brain neurons are located in the cerebellum, that is a small brain. So, in whenever there is a cerebellar lesion is there, even if the person can walk and do many things, if you Google, you can understand the functions of the cerebellum is postural and balancing, as well as language, learning capability is also associated with that. Whenever there is a lesion in the cerebellum, I have seen them, they started to withdraw from their life. They started to slowly withdraw from the learning procedures. And before that, they get any disabilities. So our brain functions are very much overlapped. And there are studies done in posturology, how you maintain the posture. And then in children, those who are introvert and, those who bend their head a little downwards, they also have difficulty in learning posture. So what I'm trying to say is you learn things from the screen, but you walk around and then you experience things. So this is one area I just wanted to put your attention into it, that it is when you wanted to control a neurological disease, it is not only the food and the medicine, you also have to look into how your cognition is functioning, how your mental processes are. This is absolutely very important. And we say that in the Ayurvedic perspective, those who are having Vata and Pitta constitution, until and unless you manage with your cognition and your mental processes, you're not going to control your MS. This is very, very important point. So just this is a typical example how a Prajnaparada happens, and in relation to a problem that is happening in the cerebellar level. So most of you might be, whenever I speak to patients, they might have already started with Ayurvedic medicines, like Brahmi and Ashwagandha is they are the main medicines that are there. Over 100 different herbs have been explained in Ayurveda that can be used in neurological diseases. So Brahmi is having, whenever we use Brahmi, we look upon what is the action of Brahmi. Brahmi is functioning more on the cognitive area. It is also having a anti-inflammatory action. It is having other 30, 40 different actions. So whenever you use Brahmi, you have to see in which person you are using that medicine, and it has to be adjusted with the other combination of medicine. That is a little tricky one. Because when you use Brahmi, then you can have early morning nausea if you use for longer time, just you to take Brahmi alone. In the same way, ashwagandha is also can also be taken, but it is functioning more on the motor functions rather than on the cognitive areas. So, Brahmi is also having a complication that when you take higher dosages for longer duration of time, weight loss is one of the main things. So, somebody who is on a lower weight, then you have to combine Brahmi with other medications. At the same time, also with ashwagandha weight gain can also happen. So these medicine, when they combine together, or when you take medicine, you definitely have to take a doctor's advice. How is the brain treatment protocol in Ayurveda? So initially, we have to consider the body constitution of a person. So this is very important because the medicine what we use in different constitution, or the oils what we use in different body types, will be different. So just one example I was giving about the Brahmi and Ashwagandha. So once the body constitution is ascertained, then you have to look up on different aspects also. Then about the symptoms, the disease pathology, whether a person is having any family history of that, then it is different. And also you have seen that he was having NMO. So it is a highly inflammatory condition. So you have to equally treat the inflammatory process initially. So with all this consideration, and secondary, do you have any accompanying neurological or any autoimmune diseases in that? So they also have to be assessed. And digestive system is very important in the Ayurveda, because a good digestive system will be reflected in the cellular level also. So digestive system we give a very high importance. Then based on that, sometimes customized medications are required. So herbal oils or decoctions, these are made based on individual disease point of view. Herbal oil preparation is one of the very important thing, and that I'll come later on. The importance of treating neurological disease in the early stage itself. Why I'm saying, the studies says that when you are diagnosed with MS or any other neurological disease, there will be a continuous neuronal damage happening. So even though you don't have a symptom, even in the early stages itself, the damages of neuron happens. Then the early treatment is very important in neurological disease. So whenever you have seen that along with the symptoms, like you have sensitivity problems, in the same way, in the brain, the lesions are coming. It's not really accidental. So when you see lesions in very very sensitive areas of the brain, like the cerebellum, or in the brainstem region, and if the lesions are confluent, if you have in brain and spine joining area, if you have lesions, these are all signs that the disease can be much progressive, and they can create disabilities earlier in the life. So instead of, reversibility is such a difficult problem, because we have patients with, 10 lesions, and I have a patient with 220 lesions now in the hospital. So you never wait for a time that you have a lot of lesions, because these are permanent damaging structures. Even though a level of improvement and remyelination can happen, but never wait for brain damages to happen. Before that itself, you have to get a treatment. Brain volume shrinkage is one of the main area. Normally, it is not studied. We use special techniques and software to study the brain volume. We have seen that after the diagnosis, maybe 4 to 5 years onwards, there is brain volume shrinkage happening. The normal brain volume shrinkage is up to 0.1%, but it can be 10 times more in MS patient. Most of the time, after 5 or 6 years, you don't see change in your MRI, but the symptoms are progressing. The reason is brain volume shrinkage. So brain volume has to be studied to see whether a treatment is efficient or not. Even if if there is no MS also, even if your MS is controlled also, you need to have your brain volume studied at least one time, so that it can be compared even later on also. Yeah, this is the most of it we have discussed. Right. I'll tell a little about how medicines are prepared. This is very, very important area, because the success of any treatment, especially diseases like multiple sclerosis, it is depending on the quality of medicines you prepare, the concentration of the herbal materials inside that. One of the main area of success in MS is how we prepare the herbal oils. The herbal oils are prepared from sesame oil. We extract it pure sesame oil from organic sesame oil, and then the fresh extracts are at least 5 to 6 times than the herbal oil. That means 1 liter of oil may contain about 5 to 6 liters of herbal oil. The whole process is taking about 21 days. It is almost like a very big ceremony. We prepare it. The oil preparation, that 2 or 3 people will be continuously involved in this process, and as you can see, the vessel is full with the oil, and it has to be continuously heated upon, and evaporation is happening, and continuously adding more and more extracts. Along with that, there are dry ingredients and many medicines. At least about 50 to 80 different medicines are added in that, based on what type of problems you are going to treat with that. In this way, it will be changed, and that process is one of the most complicated and one of the most efficient way how we can treat diseases like multiple sclerosis. And finally, this is one of the therapies, it was more or less abandoned in Ayurveda for a long time. And it is my father, who actually gave a lot of research into that and started it. Because the way how it is being done is very complex. So normally it is told to be done for only for 10 to 11 days. We extended to 60 or 45, 60 days. So that how we did that is by changing the combinations of medicines inside that. This is known to be one of the king of all therapies, and I feel that there is a quantum effect happening in this therapy, because once you started with 10 or 12 days of this therapy, that patient starts to improve, and it cannot be explained by any classical explanation of it. So this is one of the very remarkable therapy that paves the way for recovery from multiple sclerosis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you once again. Thank you, Dr. Prasanth, my Indian doctor, as I call you. You said many things. And many things can be seen in the film Your Brain that I already mentioned. However, I want to tell you that you will not understand anything until you go through it yourself. I have tried to explain this many times, but the first thing you experience when you visit the clinic, when you go there for the first time, is a shock. You are surprised. In the beginning, you might even disagree with the treatment you are prescribed. However, experiencing Ayurveda and experiencing India is part of the therapy itself. This is so because one of the things that all people having MS share is that they are controlling people who are also perfectionists. I will not ask you to raise your hand if you subscribe to this, but I want to tell you that India is a great place to get rid of those two traits because these traits do not help us. These traits make us sick. I am extremely thankful for the existence of India. It is not a coincidence that people call it Mother India because it remains a place which is very close to nature. There are many things there which are very primordial, very basic. This is how we feel because we live in another type of civilization. But people in India are much, much closer to to nature. I'm not saying that people in India do not suffer from any diseases. Currently, they want to live like us. They want to eat hamburgers, have a Western lifestyle, and actually do a lot of things that make us sick. How many years ago did MS appear in India, Dr. Prasanth?
I think maybe the first patient I've seen is in 1997 in my family clinic. So since then,
An Indian patient. Was that an Indian patient?
Indian
I'm asking
patient,
for an Indian patient.
yeah, maybe way back. I think I don't remember the year, but this 97 is where I'm closely closely watching it and treating. But before that, also maybe 10 years back, there was a patient, but it was very rare disease at that time.
However, is it rare now? I hear there are a lot of cases of MS in India.
Yeah, my personal experience is like, since 2012 or so, 80% of our clinic was frequented by patients from Europe. But now it's diametrically opposite, like 70% of them are Indian patients. And in 2008, we had only one chapter of Multiple Sclerosis Society in Delhi. Now in a small state like Kerala, we have 3. So it's fast growing and escalating.
In our previous conversation, we talked about some illnesses which appear in places in the world where they didn't exist before. And I believe this is a way to find the reason, the root for these diseases, if they appear in some places and they are lacking elsewhere. Do you think so?
Yeah. I did not understand the full question. Can you repeat it, please?
It's more of it wasn't really a question. It was a remark on my part.
Okay.
I apologize. This might be an issue in translation, but I want to Biljana asks the last question. Are there any limits in your therapy, the limits of its capabilities? There are people who are in extremely hard states. They find it hard to travel, even to India. And nevertheless, they manage to come to India for several months. What are the limits to the treatment you perform, and how do you manage the expectations of people who come to the clinic?
Actually, we were discussing about it. It should not cross a limit of, progression. So when it is very highly progressed with multiple lesions in thalamus or cerebellum or brainstem, confluent lesions in the spine, then and with severe symptoms and walking disabilities, then you cannot stop the treatment at one point. It has to be continued, and there is a limitations in the recovery. But if it is treated much earlier, soon after you get your symptoms or diagnosis, we say that till EDSS 3, it is a reversible disease and it can be stopped.
We keep repeating that all the time. Time is our most precious possession. We shouldn't waste time, and we shouldn't count on the fact that we are feeling good right now, and we have to manage this only when we get worse. Many people come to me and ask me what to do, and I help them create a routine, a rhythm in their life in order to continue. Sometimes these people disappear, and then they reappear several years again and say, Biljana, I'm feeling very bad. What can I do? And I tell them, unfortunately, it is going to be a lot harder for you now, because even if you have a diagnosis, even one symptom in your body tells you that you have to change something. I would like to thank Dr. Prasanth for everything that he shared with us, for everything that you did for me in Ayush Prana. And I have taken a vow before myself that I took a vow after the 3 times I visited the clinic for 60 days. And my vow is to go there every year for 3 to 4 weeks in order to push the restart button and allow myself the rest that I cannot find anywhere else.